You've finally found that diamond in the rough, the young superstar who could anchor your franchise for the next decade. And just when you think everything's falling into place, money talks start getting messy. That's the nightmare scenario unfolding in Toronto right now, where the Maple Leafs contract negotiations with Matthew Knies have hit a wall that's making everyone sweat bullets. Here's a 21-year-old kid who just exploded onto the scene with 29 goals and 58 points, proving he's ready to be a cornerstone piece of Toronto's rebuild. But instead of celebration, we're witnessing a high-stakes poker game where both sides are holding their cards close to their chest, and the wrong move could cost millions, or worse, cost the Leafs their future. The frustration is palpable throughout the organization. Just when they thought they had one less thing to worry about, this simple negotiation has turned into a complex chess match that could determine whether Toronto finally breaks through or continues their cycle of disappointment. The numbers game. When potential meets reality, let's talk about what makes Matthew Knies such a fascinating case study in modern NHL economics. This isn't just another contract negotiation, it's a glimpse into the future of hockey's financial landscape, where teams are forced to bet on potential rather than proven track records. Knies' breakout season tells a compelling story. 29 goals and 58 points in 78 regular season games, followed by 7 points in 13 playoff appearances. For a 21-year-old in his second NHL season, those numbers are exceptional. But here's where it gets complicated. How much is potential worth in today's market? According to the Leafs Nation's Nick Alberga, the two sides remain far apart on contract terms, which suggests this isn't just a minor disagreement over dollars and cents. This is a fundamental philosophical difference about Knies' value and trajectory. The timing couldn't be more crucial. With the salary cap set to explode over the next several seasons, potentially reaching $115 to $120 million, both sides are trying to position themselves for maximum advantage. Knies wants to cash in on his breakout performance, while Toronto is weighing whether to commit long-term or play it safe with a bridge deal. This creates a fascinating dynamic where both sides have legitimate concerns. Knies risks leaving money on the table if he signs a long-term deal now and then explodes into a superstar. The Leafs risk paying premium prices for a player who might not maintain his current trajectory. The Marner shadow. How one star's departure complicates everything. You can't discuss Knies' contract situation without acknowledging the massive elephant in the room, Mitch Marner's expected departure. With their star winger likely heading elsewhere, Knies suddenly becomes even more valuable to Toronto's offensive plans. This shift in organizational priorities puts additional pressure on both sides to get this deal right. For Toronto, losing Marner while failing to secure Knies would be a double blow that could set the franchise back years. For Knies, knowing the team desperately needs him provides significant leverage in negotiations. The psychological aspect is fascinating. Knies has already proven he can handle the pressure of being a key contributor in Toronto's lineup. He's seen what happens when contract negotiations go sideways with other players, and he's determined not to let business affect his on-ice performance. But here's the thing. Pressure makes diamonds, and sometimes it creates cracks. The longer these negotiations drag on, the more uncomfortable everyone becomes. Players start wondering if the organization truly values them, while management begins questioning whether they're dealing with reasonable people. The cap explosion dilemma. Timing is everything. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of this negotiation is how it reflects the broader changes happening across the NHL. The salary cap is set to increase dramatically over the next few seasons, fundamentally altering how teams approach contract negotiations. For Knies, signing a long-term deal now means potentially leaving millions on the table if he continues developing into a star player. By the time his contract would expire, the cap could be $40 to $50 million higher than today, making his current market value look like pocket change. For Toronto, committing big money now could look like a bargain in 5 years, but it also means betting on continued development from a player with limited NHL experience. If Knies plateaus or struggles with injuries, that long-term deal could become an albatross around the team's neck. This creates a strategic puzzle that goes beyond simple dollars and cents. Both sides are trying to predict the future of hockey economics while managing the immediate pressures of roster construction and career development. The bridge versus long-term debate. Philosophical differences. The gap in negotiations likely centers on contract structure rather than just total compensation. Toronto might prefer a bridge deal that allows them flexibility while Knies proves his consistency. Knies probably wants the security and respect that comes with a long-term commitment. Bridge deals make sense for teams dealing with cap constraints and uncertain futures. They allow organizations to evaluate continued development while maintaining roster flexibility. For players, though, bridge deals represent risk. What happens if injury or performance issues arise during that shorter time frame? Long-term deals provide security for players but can create complications for teams if circumstances change. Look around the league at contracts that seemed reasonable at signing but became problems as players aged or situations evolved. The art of contract negotiation involves finding common ground between these competing philosophies. Sometimes that means creative structures with performance bonuses, trade protection, or other mechanisms that address both sides' concerns. The pressure cooker. July 1st looms large with free agency approaching rapidly. Both sides feel the pressure to reach an agreement. The Leafs need clarity on their roster construction plans, while Knies wants to avoid the uncertainty that comes with being unsigned. The good news, according to reports, is that both sides remain optimistic about reaching a deal. Neither camp has soured on the relationship, which suggests this is about business rather than personal issues. That's a stark contrast to the Marner situation, where communication apparently broke down entirely. The threat of an offer sheet adds another layer of complexity. While reports suggest this isn't a significant concern, other teams are certainly watching the situation closely. If negotiations drag on much longer, someone might decide to test Toronto's commitment to their young star. The organizational stakes. Getting this right matters for Toronto's front office. The Knies negotiation represents more than just one contract. It's a test of their ability to manage relationships with core players. After the Marner situation devolved into a public mess, they need to demonstrate they can handle these discussions professionally. Getting this deal right could set the tone for future negotiations with other young players. Screw it up, and it sends a message that Toronto isn't a place where young stars get fairly compensated for their contributions. The Leafs are also dealing with multiple roster questions simultaneously. John Tavares needs a new contract, the defense requires attention, and they're trying to replace Marner's production. Every decision affects the others, creating a complex web of interdependent choices. The player's perspective. Betting on yourself from Knies' standpoint, this negotiation is about more than money. It's about respect and recognition. He's proven he can be a difference maker in Toronto's lineup, and he wants a contract that reflects his value to the organization. The risk for Knies is that waiting too long could create tension with management or open the door for other complications. Players want to focus on hockey, not contract negotiations, especially during what should be an exciting time in their careers. But young players also need to be smart about their financial futures. NHL careers are unpredictable, and this might be his best opportunity to secure long-term financial security for himself and his family. The resolution. Finding common ground. The key to resolving this situation lies in creative problem-solving rather than stubborn position-taking. Both sides have legitimate concerns that can be addressed through thoughtful contract structure. Perhaps a deal that starts with lower base salaries but includes significant performance bonuses could work. Maybe trade protection or other non-monetary benefits could bridge the gap between positions. The most important thing is maintaining the relationship between player and organization. Knies clearly wants to be in Toronto, and the Leafs obviously value his contributions. Finding a way to make the numbers work should be possible with good faith efforts from both sides. The bigger picture, lessons for the league. The Knies situation illustrates broader trends in NHL contract negotiations. Young players are becoming more sophisticated about their market value, while teams are grappling with rapidly changing economic conditions. Success in today's NHL requires balancing immediate needs with long-term planning. Teams that can navigate these complex negotiations while maintaining positive relationships will have significant advantages in building sustainable winning cultures. The pressure to get these deals right has never been higher, but so have the rewards for organizations that can effectively manage their salary cap and roster construction. This negotiation will ultimately be remembered as either a shrewd business move or a costly mistake, depending on how both sides perform going forward. The stakes couldn't be higher for Toronto's future success. What do you think Toronto should do with Knies? Should they commit long-term to secure their young star, or play it safe with a bridging deal? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know how you'd handle this tricky situation. Your insights might just capture the complexity that makes these negotiations so fascinating to follow.